Hello folks, Keith here from Dual Sport Journey. Man, how time flies. Okay, I just wrapped up the 500-mile oil change on this. Now, the owner's manual says 600 miles. I like to just kind of plan it somewhere between 500 and 600 miles. So we're a little over 500 miles on the bike. So we just did the oil change, and I really wanted to go over some things with you about this. It's a piece of cake. If you're reluctant at all about doing the oil change yourself, don't be. This is a super simple engine to do the oil change on. All right, so just some items that you're gonna need here. I like to use the Honda GN4. Now on these engines, the owner's manual says 10W30. I just put the 10W40 up here just for optics. We use this in our single cylinder thumper bikes, other dual sport bikes. So this is a good point. I've heard from a lot of professionals in the field that in this engine, you can run 10W40 in the summertime, 10W30 in the wintertime. We're gonna just do basically what the owner's manual states, which is 10W30. So that's what we use in this engine, this 471 cc Honda engine. So moving on to the oil filter. There's the OEM part number. There, right there. I'll pause it there for you. Okay, moving on to your oil filter wrenches. Of course, there's different styles. I don't really care for this style too much. What I really like is this style. Now, there's two different types here, okay? You've got 65/67 millimeter 14 flutes. Now, what that is it's stepped, okay, for two different sizes here. I don't really care for this if your oil filter is really on there really tight. You're going to have a hard time with this oil filter wrench because of the stepped here. You're not going to be able to get up on the filter, you know, a whole lot. So I don't really care for this style. This is okay, you know, probably if your oil filter isn't on that tight. But what I like is getting the actual 65 millimeter 14 flute oil filter wrench. Okay, this is just available on Amazon. You can just do a search for it right there and you'll find it. But pick yourself up one of these. They got a little 3/8 socket hole right here. And these work really great. So this is the size you want for this oil filter. 12 millimeter for the oil plug. And of course, I always use torque wrench, because I hate that feeling when you're out on the road and said, geez, did I tighten that oil plug enough? Did I tighten it too much? Am I going to have a hard time getting it back off? Am I going to strip the threads? Well, if you just pick yourself up a torque wrench with a 3/8 driver on there, then you can set your oil plug and your filter to the proper torques and you won't have any problem. Just always remember when you're changing this filter to take a little dab of oil out of the bottle on your finger and just oil up this rubber gasket here really good. So that's going to help you when you remove it on the next oil change. If you don't oil that up really good, you know, that rubber can harden on that engine and you're going to have a hard time getting it back off. So just make sure you do that. But this is a really simple process. And of course, your cheap dollar store, a little bin there, or drain pan. Now you can see how the oil filter sits over the exhaust here. So if your exhaust is hot, you know, might want to be wary of that. But I've seen guys just put a little aluminum foil over your pipes right here. So when you take the oil filter off, a little bit of oil that'll always come out of the engine right here will just drain onto the tin foil and then off in your pan. Just slide your pan under here. With it on the kickstand, it might drip a little bit on this pipe, but most of it will just go right in the drain pan. But overall, really easy process. You can get to the filter really easy with that oil filter wrench, and you won't have any problem whatsoever with this process. So quick note on the oil changes for these engines. You know, the owner's manual, I believe, says like 7,000 miles or something like that for the next oil change. What I like to do is in the spring, just before the motorcycle season here in the Northeast, I like to just go through my bikes and just change all the oil once a year. That way I don't have to really ever worry about it. I can't see ever putting 5,000 or 6,000 miles on one bike in one season, since we ride different bikes. So after the break-in period, if I just plan on changing the oil in these every spring just before the riding season starts, then I know I'm all set, all good for the season. So I hope you found some of this helpful. I'm going to make this short because I want to get out and ride now. We're stacking up the miles pretty quick on this bike, and I will check back in with you at 1,000 miles or more or so. We'll check back in. So until then, as always, be safe.
Oh, it's so beautiful.